Kim Coble, Executive Director of Maryland LCV, and I'm really honored today to be talking with you and our experts about community solar. Next slide, please. There we go. If you, just to give you a quick overview of Maryland LCV, we actually are comprised of 3 different organizations under one umbrella. And the umbrella is that we're working to create a healthy environment for everyone in Maryland. We have 3 different organizations that we work with. One is an education arm, and where we educate voters, we educate elected officials, we educate Marylanders, we educate people about conservation, about the importance of voting. We educate people about issues and policies. So that's a big part of what we do. We also have what's called a C4, which is our political arm. And this is where we work to get elected officials in office. These are people that are committed to conservation. We work during the election on endorsing candidates that we believe will advance conservation goals and that have the ethic and perspective to really advance what we believe are the key solutions to fighting climate change and injustice. Our third element is our political action committee, and that's a PAC. And we use that during the election cycles to give financial support to candidates and to elected officials that are doing great work. So we have an accountability aspect to our work as well, where we hold the elected officials accountable for their votes. Are they voting the way we want them to, and as they pledge to? And we produce a scorecard each year with the reporting on how their voting was over the last General Assembly. That'll be coming out in September, so keep an eye out for that. So that's Maryland LCV. We work around the year with elected officials, voters, and interested folks to advance policies to create a healthy environment for everybody. Next slide. So, as I said, we are really excited to be joined today by experts that we have. And Natalia Franco is the program manager at Neighborhood Sun. She has 3 years of experience helping Maryland residents subscribe to community solar programs. And I want to point out that we're really pleased Natalia can join us. There are other companies that are doing community solar, and we just chose Natalia here because of her expertise, but the other companies are doing great work as well. So be sure and contact everybody. We'll talk to you a little bit more about the other ones. She's going to give us examples on how community solar businesses operate and how you can actually sign up for them. I also want to introduce Kimberly Armstrong, who is Baltimore-based, a sustainability expert, a community leader, and I'm most proud to say one of our board members as well. She has a lot of experience with community solar and is going to talk about it from a consumer perspective. So you'll get both the provider and the consumer perspectives on it. And lastly, our political director at Maryland LCV, Kristen Harbison, is here to join us to talk about state policy around community solar. She was really pivotal in getting an important bill passed last session around community solar. So great experts. I'm very honored to have them all here. And next slide. What is community solar? And so if you think about we are very interested in advancing renewable energy sources. Those include wind and solar and geothermal and storing that energy in batteries. And so anything that produces energy that doesn't use fossil fuels, we're promoting that. Solar is a big part of that solution. How do we get more solar? There's different types of solar structures. And I'm actually going to have Natalia start with us and have her describe exactly what is community solar. And yeah, so Natalia.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us. So community solar is a state-regulated program that allows anyone that pays a utility bill to get a share of a local solar farm to generate energy on their behalf. So each resident will be joining a solar farm, and then that solar farm generates energy that goes to the utility company. Um, and then the utility pays the resident for that energy that was generated with credits on their bill. Um, so when they start getting the credits, like they can subscribe for free and there is no cancellation fee. So you can subscribe and cancel your subscription at any time. And then you start receiving those credits on your bill. And then you pay for those credits to us, but always with a discount. So it's always saving them money and helping put more clean energy on the grid.
Great. So and the big important part of community solar is that if you don't have a rooftop or your yard is such there's a lot of shade on it, you can
Right.
still power your home using solar energy through a community solar project. So
Correct.
very glad to see that that's happening. And let's keep going with the next slide. So Natalia, can you share with us some examples of and describe a little bit more about the community solar projects in Maryland?
Yeah, so there are many types of projects here in Maryland. They can be built in, for example, we have a few that are on landfills that are no longer operating, or they can be on the roof of a parking lot or the roof of a building, or on just like regular land. So these projects are built and they usually have different terms. So they can have like a discount for the general public, but they can also have a discount that is higher for income qualified residents. So they would save more money when they subscribe to community solar. Um, so when you subscribe, when you provide like your contact information and your zip code, it will show you which projects you can subscribe to based on that and based also on your income in case you qualify for one of the higher discounts in this case.
Great. And then the next slide, please. And do you want to go ahead and describe this, Natalia?
Sure. So these are our numbers as of May 2023. So we had 9,249 subscribers back then. We've helped like residents offset 282,000 metric tons of CO2 through their subscription to the solar farms because they are helping generate clean energy instead of using fossil fuel generating energy that is on the grid. And because everyone saves money during being subscribed to the community solar program, then we've helped saved over 3 million on their bills. $3 million, yeah.
Great. Good. And let me turn next to Kimberly Armstrong. And Kimberly, can you tell us about being a consumer of community solar and the benefits that a consumer would feel or would have from the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the community solar space on the policy side since the inception. So community solar has been around in Maryland for at least 7 years. And as you stated, Christian, along with myself and several other organizations, wanted to make it permanent because it was just a pilot program. So we had that success, right? So that's a great bonus. And according to some national statistics, only 50% of is 50% of people who can't go solar. So if you live in an apartment, if you have a business and you want to tie into clean energy, if you have a roof that may not be as big to for a solar system, if you have a roof that may need some work and you can't tie into a rooftop system, if you have too much shading. So it's a lot of different factors that you can think about when you want to get community solar. Now, I have rooftop solar and I have community solar. Reason being is that my roof space is not enough for me to offset all of my energy, right? So I have community solar to help me offset even more energy. And I always like to say is that until I got solar, I never got anything back from my utility, which is a Baltimore Gas and Electric. So that's one of the bonuses, right? Is that I get a discount. They never have given me a discount, right? So I look at it as a win-win. So not only am I helping the environment and energy, right, but I'm also reducing my costs as well.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's move to slide 7 and have Kristen talk to us a little bit about what the bill that Kimberly was referring to in terms of making the community solar program permanent. Kristen, first, can we advance the slides?
I would love nothing more than to talk about the bill that we just passed. It was a tremendous joy to work on that bill. So the Maryland has had a pilot program for community solar for the last 7 years. We were one of the early adopters states for this kind of program that's shared. I like to think of it as like a community solar. If you get a CSA farm produce, like the sharing the program, the sharing the solar project. And we were an early adopter for it. Since then, in the last 7 years, many states have gotten permanent programs. This is the year that we needed to pass a bill to make our pilot program permanent so that we could have some certainty in the marketplace and continue to build and develop these amazing projects, which benefit everybody all subscribers with the discounted rates, as well as contributing to our clean energy portfolio. So it was a bill that passed this year with several improvements. When the bill passed the pilot program passed 7 years ago, there were some things we didn't know. There were a lot of problems that came up as we were going through that we've learned how to fix. One of which is the way community solar projects are billed now. Your community solar bill is billed now. You get a bill separate from your regular utility bill, which is a problem for a lot of people. Both it's more confusing and it's also harder for people who are low income, who absolutely, if they have energy bills, they absolutely would benefit from participating in community solar. But if they are using energy assistance, they can't use your energy assistance to pay for your community solar and the creation of your energy. So one of the big fixes this year is to pull the two bills together into what's called consolidated billing. So when the permanent program goes into effect in January 1st, 2025, we will be able to get all of both the community solar bill and the energy bill on the same bill, which sounds so obvious, but was a really big deal.
Awesome. So if I'm hearing everybody correctly, we have a great opportunity for consumers, regardless of where you are, to purchase clean energy, clean solar energy, using a program that is in place and permanent, and a billing process that's very much more simple than it had been in the past. So there's all the reasons to go ahead and buy into community solar, is what I'm hearing you say. So Natalia, why don't we start with you about how do people sign up for this?
Sure. So let me just explain, like Neighborhood Sun is a subscriber organization. So what we do is we are intermediaries between the solar farm developers, the utility companies, and the residents. And we make that process a lot easier for everyone. So we help residents subscribe to this solar farm, a local solar farm. And the process is quite simple. There's like usually 4 steps. So one is that you provide first your contact information, then you provide your utility bill information because this is connected to your account information from the utility. Then you need to authorize an agreement, and then you add a payment method on file. So even though the legislation for the consolidated billing was already approved, this year in April. It hasn't been implemented, so we're hoping that happens like in the next year or so. But until then, we need to do like charge you for the credits on a separate invoice. But still a very easy process. Like if you pay, for example, your utility bill, if you have the like automated to your bank account or a credit card, it's the same thing. So you just add a payment method on file, and then you're charged for the credits a month after you receive them on your bill. So because we have a specific link for the Maryland League of Conservation Voters, so you can go to neighborhoodsound.solar/MDLCV, and you'll find this landing page where you can leave your contact information, and we will reach out to you if you have any questions specific to your case. If you're ready to do the whole process, it will take you to the system where we do the process. So you will be able to provide your account information, authorize the agreement, and then add the payment method on file. Once you are all subscribed, you will have an account with us where you can track all your savings and all your environmental impact. So you will see how much carbon you have offset with your subscription, how much energy energy generated from fossil fuels you've prevented by being a subscriber. And you can do a lot of different things like managing your account, changing your payment method, and just being able to track all your invoices as well.
That's great. I love that you not only are you looking at the cost savings, but you're also looking at the environmental benefits. So you get both of those.
Right. And that's all like a very important part of community solar.
Yeah. Kimberly, I want to turn to you and two questions for you. One is you had mentioned that you personally have solar panels on your roof, as well as being in the community solar program. So how would one determine which is a better option? Is it better to get your own solar panels, or is it better to buy into community solar? That's question one. And then also, if you can speak to low to moderate income communities and the opportunities for them with community solar.
Okay, let me start with the latter first.
Okay.
So I think that for LMI communities is a benefit because they sometimes have the highest burden, right, of energy. So if we can help to first educate them about what community solar is, how they can participate, they also can save money. So you're looking at people that may be living in public housing. You're looking at people that may get like some type of energy assistance, things of that nature, which helps bring down their energy. So if you can save money on energy, which everybody needs, right? I mean, you can't not have energy, right? So if we can help that community bring down the cost of their utility bill, once again, that's a win-win for everybody, because they could take those resources and buy food, gas, bus fare, whatever it is that they need, right? So the pros and cons, I would say, from me having rooftop solar and community solar. So rooftop solar I did because I don't want to get into the whole lot of weeds of things, but it could be cost prohibitive, right? So if you don't have the resources or the funds, then you might want to go to community solar route, right? Because you don't have to have them on your roofs. However, there is a what we call a power purchasing agreement, where it's like a lease, but I didn't have to put up any upfront money. However, I didn't get a lot of the federal credits and things of that nature. Whoever owns the system gets those credits, which I didn't have a problem with because of the simple fact that I was still saving on my energy. So I've had solar on my roof for about maybe 6 or 7 years now. And every now and then I get a little reimbursement because I overproduce. So maybe once or twice a year, I may get like a check for $99 or $100. And like I said before, until I got solar, BG&E never gave me any money back. They never, so if I mean, $200 today is a lot of money. It's extra income. I mean, it's extra money, right?
Right.
So that's the one of the pros. The con can be is rooftop solar takes a while, right? Because you have to have your roof assessed. So it's not like it's going to be overnight. so sometimes it can take up to maybe 6 months because it's a process. You got to go through the utilities. So I would say some of those things are some of the cons that you do have to wait. Some people think that when they sign the contract, the contract is going to come out there, put the panels up, and just turn on the switch, and you're going to have solar. That's not how it works. It's a process, and it can be time consuming. But sometimes people get a little anxious, and they get a little impatient. But it's a process. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, it's feeding into even some more questions that are coming in. So Natalia, one person wrote in and said that they're part of the Clean Energy Choice or the Clean Choice program. Can they still purchase community solar?
So I think it depends if they are like with a third-party supplier. Is that what they mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I think Clean Choice was doing both. They were like a third-party supplier, but they were also doing some community solar.
Yes,
So it would depend. Like if they are already with community solar with them, they can only be with one company on
okay.
community solar. If it's a third-party supplier, they can be on both. So they are compatible. So you can have a third-party supplier and still subscribe for community solar because you're not changing your supply. You're changing, this is like an additional item that shows up on your bill with the credits.
Gotcha. Yes, thank you. Also, this question came in and BG&E has some incentive programs that a discount for reducing air conditioning during the summer or the peak rewards programs. If you're signed up with community solar, are you still eligible for those discounted programs?
You should be. I would guess, I mean, it probably depends on the program. I'm not familiar with all of them. But many of our subscribers, for example, had budget billing, and it is possible to subscribe to community solar. It just makes it a little bit different to track the savings because you're paying BG&E the same amount every month. And then when that true up happens once a year, that's when you actually see what came from community solar and not. So it makes it difficult to track. So we usually recommend people to unsubscribe from budget billing to be able to be on community solar.
Okay. Kristen, one of the things that there's been a lot of discussions about with community solar is the placement of solar arrays, right? And obviously open fields is a really appealing place for the developer to put them because it's cheaper and easier than on rooftops or parking lots. And yet that can be a conflict with our agricultural goals and our farming goals. So how is it that with community solar can the two good programs, agriculture and solar deployment, coexist? And if so, what does that look like?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the things that was also included in the permanent program were incentives for what's called agrivoltaics, which is where agriculture and solar farms exist in the same place. They're co-benefits for over the same place. They tend to be higher. The solar panels are lifted higher so you can have grazing or certain crops underneath it. And that was incentivized and through this project. One of the other things that came up in the conversation in some of the chats was the idea that that community solar projects used to be 2 megawatts, which is roughly 10 to 15 acres. Now each program can be up to 5 megawatts, which is getting a little bit bigger. It's more like 40 or 50 acres. But in some places you can have co-located projects, which is basically you double the size of the project. But only in certain circumstances. And in those one of those circumstances is when it includes agrivoltaics. So that is incentivizing the co-benefit. So you have more than one benefit from the same space of land. And that was a really exciting activation. There was also protection in the bill around forests and ensuring that they were reporting around for what trees were going to be impacted by it. So it was a very thoughtfully created bill to try to make sure that we are protecting all of our resources and supporting the development and deployment of solar.
Excellent. So keep your questions coming. And you can put them in the Q&A, and we'll have our experts do this. While you're putting your questions in, let me ask, I want each of the panelists to speak about where you see community solar going over the next 10 years in Maryland. Like what's the commitment to it? What role is it going to play in meeting our climate goals? And is there anything more the state needs to do to really advance this program? And I'm going to start with Natalia.
I mean, I believe like the capacity for community solar has been increasing throughout the years. So hopefully we will have like more solar farms for subscribers and residents. But the more residents subscribe to this program, the more solar farms we will be able to like build to be able to plug those into the grid and be able to have clean energy on the grid. So I think when the bill like approved consolidated billing, it's gonna make things so much easier. Like we can see the example from New York. They already have consolidated billing, and it's so much easier for people to subscribe because they don't have to add a payment method, which can be a challenge, especially for low and moderate income communities. So it's going to make it a lot more like available for them and easy to sign up. So I think it's just going to be easier and easier to be a part of it.
And Kim, if I can just add on to that, there was a question about what that means, consolidated billing. So currently under the pilot program, you pay two bills. You pay for the energy creation from their community solar project, the actual electrons being created. And then you pay your utility, which is the delivery of the electrons. So you have, and that's two different bills. Once the permanent program is installed, it will just be one bill and it will become much more seamless. But as it is right now, you pay two different bills. It is a wonderful service. I have community solar. I save money every month from it, but it is there's two different payments. The community solar is generally a direct draw to a bank account or credit card. And so, which is also, again, something that makes it difficult for low-income people or people who who either don't have those services or would rather not have a direct draw.
Right.
Great.
So
Thank you.
if I can just add something to that as well, sorry. Like just to make it a little bit like clearer on how it works, is like if you normally pay like $100 to the utility for energy, the share that you are being assigned on the solar farm should generate up to like 90% of your annual energy usage. So that would mean that you will receive like $90 in credits on your bill. And that means you pay the utility the difference. So it will be, you pay the utility $10, and then the next month you get an invoice from the subscriber organization to pay for the credits that you received. So you will pay $90, but with a discount. So it's usually a 10%. That's like the average. So you will pay 81 instead of 90. And what that means is you paid that month a total of 10 to the utility and 81 to us. So it would be 91 instead of 100 that you were paying originally. And that's how people save money. So right now the utilities are not, like obligated to include everything on their bill. And my guess is it's going to take some work for them to like actually include everything, because I think they've been doing things like this for a very long time. So, but once that happens, it's going to be so much easier. Like everything is going to be on your utility bill, your credits, your discount, and you won't have to pay something different, like a different invoice. So it's going to make it a lot easier.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys clarifying that, because we did refer to it and hadn't defined it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to, in that legislation, I believe that the utilities have until 2025 in order to make this happen. So we have a lot of people on the I would say in these working groups that are working on not just consolidated billing, but also when Natalia talked about people who get budget billing, so that they're not kicked off of budget billing, but they can get budget billing and community solar. It's not one or the other. So there is some conversations and some work on those things as well.
And I just want to tip my hat to Kristen and Kimberly in particular, who are really working on this. It sounds very straightforward. Well, we just want to combine two bills. How hard is it? And yet the utilities had a lot of concerns about the administrative burden on them to do this, and how much it was going to take and how much time it was going to take. All the complexities, every bill's different. And so we're trying to be urging as quickly as possible, but also taking the time to make sure it's done accurately and effectively. So they're at the helm of that. So okay, so let me see. I've got a couple questions here. I guess, Natalia, for you, we have Neighborhood Sun, which provides 70 to 100% of our electricity. How can we up that to 100?
I mean, I don't think you can do, 100, you mean? Sorry?
100%.
So it depends on the solar farm. So some solar
Mhm.
farms only allow like up to 90 or 95% of your annual energy usage to be allocated. But if you want, you can reach out to me directly and we can check depending on where you are. And if we can increase that, then we can totally do it, because this allocation is flexible. So for example, if when you sign up, after you sign up, you get an electric vehicle, so you're using more energy than when you signed up, we can increase your allocation so it covers that as well. And if someone, for example, moves out of your house or your home, and your energy usage decreases, so we can lower your allocations as well. So this is a great thing. It's flexible and it's based on your needs.
Great. Yeah, here's another question, and I think Kimberly, you might be able to answer this. So we do have different community solar companies. As I said, Neighborhood Sun is one of them. How would a consumer find out what other companies are available and which is the best one for them to choose from?
Yes, so you have companies like Energy Sage. You also have companies like Solar United Neighbors, which is I'm the Maryland program director for. We actually have a platform that has these different sites on, not all of them, but it will at least tell you like some you may need a credit score, some you don't. Some you may need to give 90 days notice before you leave the subscribership. So I always tell people to do their own homework. You can go to energysage.org, or you can go to solarunitedneighbors.org and just search community solar. And a lot of the sites will come up, and you just click on them. And, if you have questions, you can call the individual organizations and ask questions.
Great. Yeah. Natalia, any other suggestions for consumers on how to assess or where to get information about different companies?
No, I agree. I mean, those websites are really useful for people to look for projects on their specific area. And you can see the name of the organization in there, so you can look for that. I mean, I can only pick for Neighborhood Sun. So we are like a local organization and we're a big corporation, which means we have like this certification. And once a year, we do a report to like measure our social and environmental impact. And we've won the best for the world on the environmental category 2 years in a row. But we always say like, just whatever organization you choose, we're happy that you are subscribing to community solar, because that's really making a difference in reducing carbon emissions.
And before we wrap up, Kristen, what advice do you have for consumers who might be interested in finding out more about options that are available for them?
Well, I mean, we've already talked about Energy Sage has a lot of comparisons with different programs. It's energysage.com. We can look for other resources to try to help direct people to all the different places where people can compare different programs and identify the real community solar projects that are, again, these are local projects. You can drive to look and wave at your energy, at your solar panels. I know mine is in Gambrels, I think, and wave at it. So you see it's coming from local energy. This is not coming from, someplace, exactly where your energy is being credited from.
Great.
And I'll just add too, is that in order for you to subscribe in one of those host sites, is that you have to be in the utility area, right? So I live in BGE, the site has to be in BGE. If you in Petco or Potomac Edison, the site has to be in those areas as well, so that people don't get confused and start looking everywhere. But that's one of the reasons why they ask you to put in your zip code, because a lot of times the sites that are available or that are open, and some of them even may have a waiting list, that's one of the reasons for doing that, so they can make sure that you are in the right jurisdiction.
And Kimberly, we've gotten this question. Sometimes a provider is asking for an income criteria for the consumer. Can somebody speak to what that means?
Yeah, so some of these sites, they want to just make an assessment. And for LMI customers, they just use the census tract, right? Or income guidelines. So I mean, people, they ask that question, but a lot of times it really doesn't affect what site you go on. It's just really for information only. And that was one of the reasons too for having LMI being stressed in a lot of the legislation that we passed as well, because it was a burden. When I first started doing community solar years ago, you had to have a 650 credit score. So that knocked a whole lot of people out of the box right there, So now, some sites will say that because they may have two different models. So they may have LMI and then they have non-LMI. So that's the reason for asking for a lot of times for income.
Okay, great.
I just add on to it, there is so as part of the bill, we also talked about, so low and moderate income is a income level that is defined based on the areas in which you live. It's based on sort of by jurisdiction. It changes jurisdiction by jurisdiction. It's a certain percentage of the poverty level. There also is, but we're also, in addition to talking to low and moderate income, we're also talking about overburdened and underserved communities and making sure that they are also preferenced in this bill, which requires that every community solar project, unless it's wholly owned by the subscribers, like a church or a condo complex owns the entirety of the project themselves, that 40% of every community solar project has to save 40% of their energy for low and moderate income or overburdened and underserved communities. And the overburdened and underserved communities, again, there are very specific definitions of what that means to try to, and that's by census tract. It's looking at the communities that are disproportionately impacted by pollution, by climate change, by poverty, by different health impacts. So it's it's pretty broad, but it's also very specific and very targeted to make sure that the people who can benefit the most are really being preferenced in the identification of these bills.
Great. So we have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to do a quick I want to share some other opportunities that are coming down the pike involving Maryland LCV, and then I'm going to have everybody give us a quick summary. So if we can go to our information slide there are two opportunities that we're really excited to share with you. One is that the Maryland Department of Environment is putting together a plan on climate policies and solutions, and there's a town hall meeting on September 6th in Baltimore at the Henderson Hopkins Elementary School at 5:30 to 7:30. This material is on our website, so you can go grab it there. And they're going to be talking about proposed climate policies and getting feedback. Do these policies help you? How can they be improved? Are these things that you care about? What else do you care about that isn't in these policies? It's going to be a great town hall conversation. I highly recommend it. Then on September 21st at noon, there'll be another webinar with the Maryland health professionals for Healthy Climate Change and Our Health. And there's such a link between those two, and we're understanding that more and more every day. So we're going to be looking at the impacts and actions in Maryland about climate change and health. So please put those on your calendar. We'll be excited to participate with you on that. The last thing I wanted to mention is Maryland LCV is having our annual event called Change Makers. You can see it on the right there. We've put a QR code to get you directly there. Buy a ticket. We would love to have you. And when you come, it starts at 5:30. We'll have about an hour of a program where we're going to give some awards, have a panel conversation, and then there's a networking 2-hour time. So it's very relaxed, but it's a great time to really connect with people that care about the environment, and would love to see you. So I hope you can join us. The middle is to make a donation. We can't do this work without your support. And the more time and the easier it is for us to get your support and dollars in, the more we can spend on programming. So please consider supporting us. We would be deeply grateful for that. And then on the left is for action alerts. And this is where we can get information to you about actions we need you to take. Call this legislator, weigh in here, offer a letter to the editor here. What's your thoughts about this particular initiative? And so if we can get your contact information, we will keep you informed. And we've also put in the chat the links to these if you're not familiar with the QR system. And I thank you for the reminder, Kristen. At Changemakers, we're very excited. We're going to give our Legislator of the Year award to the delegate and senator that really championed the community solar bill, Luke Clippinger and Ben Brooks, and Senator Ben Brooks, Delegate Luke Clippinger. And they did a great job, and were true, smart, committed, and a bit tenacious leaders on this bill. So we're really pleased to give them an award. So hope to see you there. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up. I want to thank you again. Any closing comments, Kristen, Kimberly, Natalia?
I just want to say thank you, because I think the more that we talk about community solar, especially in the community, is that more people get informed, educated, and aware, and have an opportunity to sign up. So I want to really go around the state of Maryland doing these kind of things so we can educate even more people about community solar and what it is. So thank you.
You bet. Yes. All right, everybody. Well, thank you. Have a great rest of the day and week, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.